Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast from the attraction and entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you once again, as we do once every 4 weeks, to do the news. That's right, it's episode 332. The math is getting difficult, folks, but I can assure you it's a number divisible by 4. Well, 32 is divisible by 4 and 300. It all works out. Trust me, did the math. So we're doing the news, and I've got to be honest, it's been kind of a quiet month or so for haunted attraction news, which is kind of weird because this year's been pretty busy for haunted attraction news up until now. It kind of hit a lull.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a lot of great, very interesting stuff for you, including some related content that may not seem to be directly related, but trust me, it is. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But before we do, please take a minute, if you have not done so already. Follow us, like us, subscribe us, do all those things at the places we exist. We exist at hauntweekly.com or Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/hauntweekly is a YouTube channel. A great way to get caught up on all the previous episodes. I know some of those podcast players don't list more than like the past 10 episodes. All 322 are there. You can find each and every one of them. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And yes, we are excited to come to you once again with the news. But first things first. Every week we come at you with a question of the week. And last week we did a whole podcast about online services we think every haunter should know about.
Yes.
And now... And the question of the week was, what services do you think everyone should know about? And y'all had some good ones.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this. Crystal, kick things off.
Keone Hutton said Ambient Mixer, ambient-mixer.com, place to mix your own ambient sounds.
And I'm going to say this, is the guy that does sound design for our haunt most years.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I'd seen this link like eons before.
Yeah.
Because this is really amazing stuff. I only played with it super briefly, admittedly.
Mm-hmm.
But like one of the challenges I've always faced is trying to create ambient sounds. Things that can be played on a loop. Things that can be heard in the background. Things that won't be super disturbing for actors.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, having actors listen to the same 1 minute loop, what would that be? 240 times over the course of a 4-hour night.
Mm-hmm.
Can be pretty bad. This is a way to create some pretty long ambient loops upon which you would place other sounds on top of, ideally. But it's a very cool idea. Ambient-mixer.com.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of neat stuff there. Has content from a variety of different sources. I say check it out, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Chris Gay chimed in with 2 things, but we're going to particularly highlight TechSoup.org, a service where charity haunts, and I'm assuming other charities too, can get free or huge discounts on all sorts of software. So if you're a registered 501c charity, this is your way to get a lot of that very expensive software on a super deep discount. He also mentioned Monday.com, a site for planning and tracking large projects.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned it in the podcast, but we agree, and we had said in the podcast we not actually used it, but had heard great things about it. Glad to hear we're not the only ones.
James Palace chimed in with Remind.com, which is an education communication platform, and G2.com, which he asked if it was like Capterra. We had not used Capterra other than for research that day, so I'll be interested to play around with G2 next time we do one of those episodes.
Yeah, I think Ellie Ferguson may be the most passionate here because obviously Ellie, our girlfriend, chimed in saying online payment processors and basically listed all of them.
Yeah.
Your Venmos, your Cash Apps, your whatevers, all those.
Yeah.
And the reason is, A, she works in banking.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very, very passionate about accepting online payments and not having to carry cash. She hates... If you think I'm passionate about haunts that are cash only, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
She upstages me times 100, times 1,000. She gets way more cranky about it than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even like A level or S tier on this.
Yeah.
And maybe B tier compared to her S tier. It's incredible. But yeah, she highly recommend everyone check out all the online payment platforms, Venmo, Stripe, Square, everything.
Yeah. And for this week's question, I kind of dropped the dog, so we got in here. And it's like, well, we're just going to ask, what questions do you have for us?
And here's the thing. There's a lot of great potential areas to ask questions.
Uh-huh.
One is we're looking at opening a haunt this year.
Yes.
It will be our first time in 4 years. Or 3 years, rather, because we were closed in 2019 due to road construction. 2020 and 21 due to the pandemic. 2022 is looking to be the first time we were open since 2018. So if you've got questions about that, please ask. I've got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I've got a ton of questions. I'm pretty sure you do too.
Or if you have more general questions you would like to
How we
see
do
turned
X,
in-
Y, and Z.
Yeah. Or something you'd like to see turned into a podcast.
Yeah.
A full episode. Ask away.
Let us know. I would like to hear the questions you all have. We do this every so often where we ask for your questions. So that way we can get a handle on what you want to know. And either A, turn them into a rapid fire questions episode, which is the ones before.
Mm-hmm.
Or B, get a whole load of new topic ideas out of it and just turn it into a series of topics that we go over the next month and a half or 2 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
So either of those could happen. Don't know which it's going to be, but please, what are your questions for us? I think there's a lot of good things you could ask. A lot of questions I'd ask me. Because a lot of questions I'm asking myself right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, go with those. You can send those topics into hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/hauntweekly. Leave it as a comment there. Every Wednesday, we leave the question as a week as a separate conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at facebook.com/hauntweekly. You can find it there. Please participate in the conversation. We greatly appreciate all of you that do. All right, well, it is an even-numbered episode.
Mm-hmm.
Which means we are doing conference reminders, and there are a lot of conferences coming up, so pay attention, folks, and find out what haunted attraction conferences and conventions are coming to your area. All right, first things first, May 13th through the 15th, 2022, in Portland, Oregon. It's the West Coast Haunters Convention at the Doubletree Hotel in Portland. The organization is a non-profit that donates to professionals that work with autism, has a haunted bus tour visiting Fear PDX in Portland, has 2 great-looking parties, a costume contest, and a foam dart war on the convention floor. HauntersConvention.com for further details.
Okay. After that, June 10th through the 12th, it's Midwest Haunters Convention in Rosemont, Illinois. They will be at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. The pre-convention haunt tour includes visits to Massacre, Basement of the Dead, Evil Intentions, and Disturbia. It also features a costume party on Saturday, because which one of these doesn't? Because we all like to dress up and have fun.
Yes.
Other pending details as available at MidwestHauntersConvention.com.
Yeah, they're rapidly updating this, so we're struggling to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta say, looking at that pre-haunt tour, I can vouch for at least 3 of the 4 as being great haunts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the other one isn't, but I'm just saying I haven't been. 3 I can vouch for personally, though. Then after that, June 24th through the 26th of the Oaks Campground in Munith, Michigan. Jesus, is a mouthful. It's the Michigan Haunt Fest. They'll be making takes, which will have individual fees. Heads up, meals are not included, but Saturday attendees will be charged a $2 entry fee to the campgrounds. Children are free. There will be a campsite decorating contest and a family movie night, which they promise will be kid-friendly. MichiganHauntFest.weebly.com for more information.
Okay, July 8th through the 10th, it's the event. That's the Haunters Against Hate Convention. It'll be in Lexington, Kentucky at the Clarion Center North, featuring drag shows, cosplay competitions, makeup contest, and many, many special guests. HaTheEvent.com.
HAHTheEvent.com, yeah.
Yes.
We are tentatively planning to be there still. Mm-hmm. We have not booked travel or booked plans. There's some work issues we still got to sort out. But once those are sorted, we're going to book everything and hopefully be there. But we can't promise anything. But that's looking like where we're headed.
Yeah.
All right, after that, July 16th through the 17th in Mesquite, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas, is the Texas Haunters Convention at the Mesquite Convention Center. Details are still forthcoming at the TexasHauntersConvention.com.
Okay. July 29th through the 31st. There are a lot this summer.
Yeah, no.
Southeast Hollows Haunt Convention in Savannah, Georgia will be held, and it will have magicians doing demos on the show floor, a masquerade ball, and SEHHC.com is where to go to find out what else they'll be doing.
Yeah. And finally, Midsummer Scream Eek will be held July 20th, same nights, July 29th through the 31st at the Pasadena Convention Center in Pasadena, California. Feature the famous Hall of Shadows. That's where a bunch of haunted attractions come up to build one mega haunt. It's like fucking Voltron. They all come together and build little bits and make a bigger thing. And they'll also feature the Screaming Room, a horror movie screening room. MidsummerScream.org for details. So a lot of great stuff coming up this summer, as you said, and it's going to be a very, very active summer. The first active summer we've had for haunted attraction conventions in 3 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2019, I think, was the last time we had a really active convention season in summer. Summer typically is the most active. I know that we think of March, because of Transworld as being haunted attraction convention season. But in terms of head count?
Well, and HauntCon being in January,
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah, so honestly, this is going to be a great summer if you are feeling comfortable, if you're cool with where we are with the pandemic and COVID-related stuff. It's going to be a great summer for haunted attraction conventions. I recommend you get out if you can and if you're comfortable. So anyways, as I mentioned previously, it's episode 332. It's time to do the news. And, there's been a lot of interesting stuff going on. A lot of it isn't directly haunted attraction related, but it's haunted attraction related when you stop for 5 minutes and think about it.
Yeah.
So that's a lot what we're covering this week. And do you want me to kick things off?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're beginning on a downer.
We are.
And as usual, we'll try to leave you happy if you stick through the whole podcast, but we got to get through the muck to get to the happier stuff at the end. The headline reads, Teen falls 400 feet from drop tower ride to his death at Orlando's Icon Park in Florida. This is an article by Julia Carbano at Newsweek, and the headline really said it all. There is a new drop tower at this park. It's listed as the tallest such tower in the world.
Yeah, it's described as world record setting by the park.
And it opened in December 2021, so it has not been open very long.
No.
We're talking 4 months here. But yeah, basically he fell from the ride, falling, basically the whole distance, it sounds like. According to the description, riders board the vehicle that brings them up to the top of the tower, then it tilts 30-ish degrees, which 30 degrees is pretty significant if you look at it. If you actually hold 30 degrees in your hand like I'm doing right now, you can't see it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty significant lean there. So that you face the ground briefly and then drops down, reaching a speed of over 75 miles an hour. And then the ride breaks about 45 feet above ground. It sounds very intense, I'm not going to lie.
It does.
But yeah, it's not yet known how many people were on the ride on Thursday when the boy fell, or how the events unfolded. The ride is closed currently, and that closure is indefinite until they sort out what exactly happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the park has put out statements that, their hearts are with the family, and they're doing what they can to find the issue.
Yeah. I have watched several videos. I went down a rabbit hole not that long ago, looking up information on how roller coasters are built and designed. And the fascination there was with roller coasters, but I'm sure much the same applies to rides like this in terms of how they are tested. And the process is incredibly rigorous. Ridiculously ridiculously rigorous. That is a tongue twister. But the point I'm trying to say is, it's not a perfect process.
Right.
And anytime you've got a ride that's taking people 43 stories in the air, which is basically what we're talking about, any error can create a problem. And okay, it's been open for 4 months. That's not very long, I admit. But that's also seen thousands and thousands of riders that did it and were safe. Now, any incidents are too many incidents, obviously.
Yeah.
So whatever happened, they need to figure it out, and I'm hoping they've got video. I'm hoping they've got, they've got an understanding of what took place, basically. I'm hoping they got evidence of what happened, and can figure out a way to make the ride safe in the future. Or determine that the ride cannot be made safe and shut it down permanently. They can make some kind of determination. This ain't Action Park. Is what I'm trying to say.
No.
If any of y'all have seen the documentary Class Action Park, or this TV docudrama about it,
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it about it, but yeah, this is not that.
No.
This is not a park that I believe was being truly reckless with people's lives. I believe they were engaging in testing. I believe, and something fell through the cracks. Now, what that is, that's what we have to figure out. And like I said, if it's something endemic to the ride, where the ride cannot be reopened ever safely, or if it's something, oh yeah, we can fix that, and then it's done. That's what remains to be seen. And I'm glad they have shut down the ride until they figure that out. This is what responsible attraction providers do.
Yeah.
And we've seen this with haunts too. When you have an injury at your haunt or an incident, this is something you have to think about. What went wrong? What happened?
And how do you be the most transparent you can with the media?
Yeah. Because that's just...
Because you've got to get it to where people feel safe to come to you again.
Because, yeah, as a haunted attraction, we always, and roller coasters and thrill rides like this ride the same line. Which is, you always want to be known as dangerous in the sense that you're going to get a thrill. It's just something you go to get your heart rate up. You go to scream a little. You go to let it out. But it's not dangerous in the sense that you'll actually incur bodily harm.
Yeah.
And we're always riding that line. And when you go too far into you can actually get hurt here, even if that's not necessarily a fair reputation, it can hurt your business. It can hurt your reputation. It can cause you to close. I mean, attractions close all the time, not because they are unsafe, but because they are unsafe. And they're doing everything they can. I think they're doing this right. But I really do hope that they figure out what was wrong with this, not just for their sake, but for similar attractions' sake. Because I'm like I said, there are other rides that are similar to this. We've ridden them. We've ridden other drop towers. So my hope is that whatever they learn not only makes this ride safer, but also makes other rides safer too.
Yes.
So something to keep an eye on and see how it goes.
Okay. This one is Haunted J. So we've talked about memorabilia museums that feature things from like serial killers and and celebrities that have died.
Yeah. And we focused when we were talking about that last time, it was talking about the Museum of Death here in New Orleans.
Correct.
And why we were not comfortable with that attraction.
Right.
Okay.
And this kind of brings that to a head. Paul Walker, the star of Fast and Furious, was killed in a car crash on set.
Yeah.
I don't remember when exactly.
Yeah.
And
he died in 2013 at age 40. God, he was younger than me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That hurt. That's Dick Kick City.
Yeah. And this article is by Kim Novak. But
at MSN.com.
Yes. But the Haunted Museum bought his sunglasses, and the fans have been very upset about this since the glasses were put into the museum. So now the Haunted...
these were the sunglasses from the crash scene, to be clear.
Exactly.
Not like sunglasses he wore once and...
No. These were the Maui Jim shades that he was wearing at the time.
Of his death, yeah.
Yeah. So...
what the fuck are Maui Jim shades?
Zach Baggins is the owner of the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, and he has reached out to the family and plans to give them back because there has been such an outrage over this. But if the family does not want them, he will ask if he can still keep them on display. And that's an appropriate way to approach this, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he should have done that to begin with without the fan backlash. To be honest, I mean, the fact it took fan backlash.
Well, so someone picked them up and put them on an auction site originally.
Yeah, that is fucking skeezy as shit.
Exactly.
I don't even want to go into that motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I'll spend the next, how long we got in this podcast? I'll spend the next 30 minutes tearing him a new asshole if I have to.
Yeah, exactly.
People like when I go off on a rant, oh, there'll be a rant.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how, the Haunted Museum became in possession of them, if they bought from this person or a different person, but they're trying to make it right now.
But yeah, I mean,
And this is kind of a warning for if you're going to have something like this on display.
Especially, and this is interesting because we had something like this in New Orleans recently.
Mm-hmm.
God, we did a whole episode
Mm-hmm.
on the Bloody Mary tours. I'm trying to remember the episode number. Crystal's going to look it up. But basically, in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina here in New Orleans, already a big enough fucking tragedy, honestly. Mm-hmm. There was a very, very difficult murder, is what I want to say.
129.
Episode 129 was the episode. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. We called it When Tours Get Too Real.
Yeah.
Which is an appropriate title. I think that's a great title.
You wrote it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I stand by it even today, 4 years later.
Mm-hmm.
I hate all the shit I did more than 2 weeks ago, okay?
Yeah, I know.
So the thing, I say a title I wrote 4 years ago is okay. It's probably pretty high praise. Mm-hmm. But basically, there was a murder in which a guy killed his girlfriend, and it's confusing as to what happened next, but there was alleged cannibalism. But anyways, there's a haunted tour place in New Orleans offering tours of the house where it took place, their apartment where it took place. And it's problematic because they still have, family members that are alive. They still have friends who live in the city. We know 3 people who knew them personally.
Yeah.
And, it's crazy. And we ended up somewhat accidentally alerting the media to this. And basically there was a backlash, but I don't know what they've changed, if anything. But we had our own backlash about this because it was too recent. It was too new. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the Death Museum may be able to avoid a backlash when dealing with Ted Bundy, which happened decades ago. But you've got to remember, stuff that happened super recent is still a fresh wound to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And Paul Walker's death was only 8 years ago now, or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
That is very, very fresh to the people that were close to him. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to realize the impact of what you're doing has on the survivors, because you're not just trying to exploit the dead, you're exploiting the survivors, which is the problem.
Yeah.
So something to think about if you're doing it. I think it's a good warning shot for anyone looking at doing this for their own haunt or their own museum or anything similar. Mm-hmm. All right, well, here's an interesting one. Disney has announced a supply chain shortage affecting magic bands. Mm-hmm. Now, this article is by Andrew Boardwine at InsideTheMagic.net. Basically, if you aren't familiar with magic bands, these are wristbands that you wear when you go to Disney parks, and they allow you to access everything. Mm-hmm. Basically, they're used for everything from payment to accessing rides, especially if you have a designated time for getting on. Basically, they're just ubiquitous. You use them for literally everything.
Yeah, this sounds like the updated tech from, going from paper to digital.
Yeah, and it was a logical move, even if it's a bit weird, because there was a lot of pushback initially, because people were like, "Oh, we're being tracked by the magic." You're being tracked anyway.
Yeah. Do you have a phone on you?
You got a phone. You've got a credit card. You're paying with the same credit card everywhere you go. You're being tracked in Disney World, dude. It's not. This isn't changing the game. It's just making it easier for you to both be tracked and for you to pay your shit.
Yeah.
And it's even the key to your room. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that's it's everything. It's your life. when you're on Disney World. But they say that Magic Bands may have limited availability or maybe even unavailable in various sales due to a quote-unquote ongoing industry-wide supply challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Okay, so this is something to think about. I know a lot of haunts have been looking to move, because haunts like to borrow from Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a bad place to borrow. If you're gonna borrow from the best. I always say that. And so one of the things I've seen a lot of haunts doing is, especially like haunted parks where you have multiple attractions, is moving to a system like this where you have some kind of bracelet or something that identifies you as you go around.
Mm-hmm.
And our visits to various haunted attraction parks, everything from bracelets, where they would mark off what you went to a lanyard where they would literally snip corners off of the card. We've seen tickets with holes punched. We've seen all kinds of crazy shit. But I know a lot of haunts are looking to go to this because it creates a more permanent souvenir and something that's a more constant reminder. It's not a bad idea. Just saying this might not be the year to do it, guys.
Yeah. But this also, as we've mentioned on previous podcasts, is a reminder that if Disney is having supply chain issues, you will too.
Yeah.
Order your stuff that you need early. As early as you can.
Now is good. Now is real good. Mm-hmm. Best time was probably yesterday. Second best time is now.
Yeah.
And that's in all seriousness, because it's not so much, the issue as I understand it isn't so much like supply chain. It's shipping and transit related, because there's issues at ports, there's issues with getting truckers, there's issues with transportation all around, and that's creating a backlog. Mm-hmm. So, like, and this is serious, I was thinking earlier today, I should probably design and print the flyers now.
Yeah.
Go that way I can get the slow boat to China shipping, I can get the cheapest deals, and I will know, no matter how many times they are delayed, they will be here plenty of time for us to distribute. Mm-hmm. I'm seriously contemplating doing that, even though usually, most years, I only start printing flyers, or thinking about it even, sometime August.
Yeah, late August, early September.
Yeah, late August, early September. I mean, sometimes I think about it around my birthday, because it's a birthday treat for me to get to do some graphic design. But, birthday's mid-August. But yeah, that's the earliest I think about it. I'm thinking about doing it now, just because of the issues with supply chain and trying to make sure that even if shit gets delayed a month or 2 months or whatever, that I still have it in plenty of time. I can just store it, because if it gets here early, I can put it in a closet and forget about it until it's time. If it gets here late, I'm fucked. It's that simple. Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah. Basically, it's a reminder, if Disney's having, and you said it well, if Disney's having supply chain issues, expect them yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Next up, North York Haunted Halloween fundraiser to benefit Make-A-Wish Canada.
Oh, that's such a neat story.
Yeah. This is from Toronto.com and Fanny Sunshine.
I'm not going to laugh at the name out loud.
All right. So for the past decade, the Weston Road and Shepherd Avenue area resident has turned his backyard into a spooky site.
Yes.
And basically it is a tarp covered walkthrough of different scenes. It's only $3 for children and $5 for if you're 13 or older. And
children is identified as 12 or younger. So
yeah, well, 5 for 13 and older. Covers that too.
I know.
But I know they're both there. But yeah, so those funeral home scenes and haunted tunnels and spooky forests and cemeteries. And it's going, over the years, they've raised $10,000 for a different number of charities.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like a really good thing. And why they're in the news right now. And you should be paying attention to this part. They are looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
They are talking about their haunt right now and the good that they've done in their community.
And they're in Toronto.com.
Yeah, and they're in Canada to get the volunteers they need for this season.
Yeah, when you put this in, I was very confused because they're not open right now. Like, we got a bunch of St. Patrick's Day stories that we kind of put aside.
Yeah.
We're trying not to include like seasonal haunt openings in the news because there's a lot of those, and that's a good thing. More seasonal haunt openings, positive. But a lot of these St. Patrick's Day ones made me really fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of questionable content going down there. I don't know. I mean, I am Irish, but I'm not. I don't like thinking myself as Irish. Bailey's my last name. Do the fucking math.
Yeah.
But I don't like super identify as Irish either, so I'm not going to speak to being offended or not offended by it. But I'm not comfortable doing fucking leprechauns and rainbows and that type of shit either. You know, pots of gold and that stuff. I'm just not.
Yes, and there was one that had people dressing up as Irishmen.
Yeah, it gets, yeah. This is what I call a dinner plate moment because it sounds like you're biting down on a dinner plate.
Okay.
It's like that. But anyways, so yeah, basically though, these guys though have put the word out that they're looking for volunteers. And yeah, I honestly, seeing a story out now about a haunt that isn't opening until October really kind of blew us away. So honestly, really, really neat stuff. And if you're in the area, and this might be something to consider. I will say also that Canada has such an amazing home haunter community. Like, really amazing home haunter community. Like, I know there's not as much of a pro haunt scene in Canada yet. It's growing. It's getting better. It's getting there, but it's still on the rise. But the home haunt community has stepped the fuck up in that country, it seems. So our neighbors to the north are doing some amazing stuff, and this is just another example of it. All right. Well, another story, this one by Jesus Murphy, Honor Tanner?
Terry.
Terry Tanner. We'll just call it that. Man pitches haunted house attraction on his property. Corey Rabinold of the Franklin Township man wants to operate a haunted house from his property several weekends in the fall. He has been involved in the haunted house industry for 18 years. He said that last year he hosted a Halloween party that had well over 300 people attend. Not a bad start. And his company, Corey Rabinold Productions, he's spent a lot of time coming up with a name. And his band of carnies terrorize crowds with versions of their moving funhouse, complete with trapdoors and spooky crew.
And that's during their Halloween parades that they put on.
Yeah. We try not to do anything store-bought, which I respect. We had everyone pull out their own pieces for the carnies, and we try to keep it as original as possible. He said that the events would be 7 to 11 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays, the last weekend in September through the first weekend in November. Pretty standard run.
Yep. And he basically has one barn and is asking the city if he can build a second.
Yeah.
In order to add to the haunted house.
Honestly, and this is just a personal opinion here, I think he may be a bit late in asking all this permission if he's trying to open for this season.
Well,
but then again, in smaller communities, shit may work a lot quicker.
Well, and I think that that's the case here because he's already beloved by the area. I didn't include the quote in here, but someone in the city government said they thought it was a great idea because they do this parade for everybody. They hold the big party. So why not let them do this too?
So, we've been talking a lot on this podcast about the importance of gratiating yourself to the community. Here you go.
Yeah. Well, and this is another thing about, getting your name out there. Because if they want to open in October, they're doing a good job of getting their name out there now.
Yeah. They've laid a lot of groundwork.
So that people can think about.
And honestly, they've laid a lot of groundwork in terms of community support, community love, and getting their names out there. And so, if the community loves them as much as it appears, this may be that smooth of a process, and they may be open in October, no issues. But could you imagine if they were someone that was not loved by the community?
Yeah.
If this was McCamey Manor or some shit like that, where they pissed off a lot of people, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
That's just it. This is the importance of being beloved by your community and being a community member. Shit happens when you do that. Shit gets done.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally believe he can do it. But, I personally would have started earlier just in case. Because I'm always a just in case kind of guy. But if he's as tight with this community as it appears, I don't think he has much to worry about.
No. Right. Next up, the Haunted House restaurant that opened in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, is doing something interesting. For the release of the Ambulance movie, which is a horror movie, they are doing Thursdays. First responders receive 15% off their individual purchases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is an interesting idea. This comes from Andre Scott, a partner in the restaurant. He said that it's basically I didn't know it was a Michael Bay movie. Did you know this was a Michael Bay movie?
No,
I'd heard
it kind of felt like it.
Fair, but I had heard about the movie, and it's a horror movie, and I kind of put it aside. Didn't realize it was a Michael Bay film, so now I'm honestly less interested in it now because of the story. It's just maybe not the desired impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think it's a great idea. Unfortunately, if you're a first responder and you're looking to go there, the offer's expired as of recording day.
Yeah.
It ended April 8th. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, this is a neat way to get publicity for your attraction and for a movie and to team up and to do something that gets you both a lot of attention.
Exactly. So get in touch with your, local first responders and see if they have anything going on that you want to partner with. Similarly,
get in touch with your local filmmaking community.
Yeah.
See if there are horror movies coming out you can team with. See if there are any relevant projects.
Yeah, I know there are quite a few, Fringe Fest is here, and there's also a film festival, an independent film festival here that Haunts could partner with.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. It's okay, I get that, if you're a very rural haunt, you're probably saying, what film community? We ain't got a film community here.
It's in my backyard.
We got 3 people and a goat out here. What are you talking about? There's no film community. Okay, I get that. But if you're in a city that's, say, New Orleans sized or bigger, there's a filmmaking community there. I will guarantee it.
Yeah.
You may not know it or be aware of it, but there's a community there.
And even if there's just a college film program or theater program, you can do cross promotions with those.
We have been to local independent film releases on a couple of occasions, and we have had our popcorn stolen by one of the quote unquote stars.
Yeah,
that actually happened once. That was a very surreal evening.
It was.
I really, really am not all sure that happened, except for the fact that we both saw it.
Yeah.
Usually if we both see it, it happened.
Right.
I can be accused of making up shit, but not both of us.
Yes.
Anyways, moving on. This is an article by Nicola Jean Capron at GameRant.com. Haunted House Renovator horror game revealed. Image Power and Playway have released a Haunted House Renovator horror story game. Basically, in this, you play... They described it as a ghost hunting renovator.
Yeah.
Which it seems like 2 jobs.
It does.
It seems like you're not doing one job. You'd be either a shitty ghost hunter or a shitty renovator. But neither here nor there, right? You basically enter a haunted house and you're specifically there to deal with them. This means cleaning up the place, getting rid of unsightly bloodstains, and making the houses quote-unquote nice and tidy again. This also sounds like Viscera cleanup detail to me in a little bit.
Yeah.
Which we've played and we immediately had to shut down because it was too stressful. That's way too much stress for me cleaning up after Santa Claus went and murdered a bunch of elves.
Oh, I felt that one was more fun than the regular version.
They're both a lot of stress, okay? Because you can get things so clean and then realize you left bloody footprints over the last 200 yards and you got to clean that shit up now. Oh, it's rough. But still, it sounds interesting. But yeah, and the whole point is the game may require literally covering up skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
It appears the houses themselves will feature photorealistic graphics, which add to the atmosphere. However, the supernatural force, I'm reading from the thing here, supernatural forces that reside in haunted houses begin acting up. Things take a turn for the hilarious.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious about this game, and
Is it
I'm
a
looking
co-op?
forward to playing it. I don't know.
If it's a co-op game, we could do it together.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's still not my ideal haunted house where I get to build a haunted house. I still want that game.
yeah, the game I want, and this is true, is I want like Roller Coaster Tycoon, Theme
Mhm.
Park Tycoon,
Any of the
Hospital Tycoon.
any
I
of the
want one
tycoons.
yeah, those one of those for a haunted attraction.
Hmm.
I would fucking eat that up. I would play that like 12 hours a day. Yum yum, eat them up, pay full price at launch. I would do all that. But this is still pretty interesting in that it deals with someone trying to fix.
Hmm.
And you can't see the hard air quotes I'm doing here.
Mm-mm.
Fix a haunted house.
Okay. Next up, Chronic Vapors owner Chad Heck has operated a haunted house in West Massillon for
Canton,
many
Ohio.
years.
Yeah.
The new shop, the Vapor Shop, is in Canton, Ohio, and this article is by Stephen Grazier at the
Independent. Just
Okay.
the Independent. That's the name of the publication.
Yes, the Independent. Basically, he had to change jobs.
Yeah.
He had to close down the haunt and decided to open up this vape shop. So why are we mentioning it? Because he took all of that stuff from the haunted house and decorated the shop with it.
Yeah. This is one of those you really do want to check out the article, if nothing else for the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it took a lot. I've never seen a spooky vape shop. Like, I don't know about y'all's city, but New Orleans has been overrun by vape shops.
Yeah.
I swear to God, we have more vape shops than we have gas stations now, and I don't think that's even an exaggeration.
Probably not.
We have vape shops everywhere, and I mean, I got nothing against it. I mean, I'm not fond of vaping, but I'm not like mad about it or anything. It's just, Jesus Christ, do you need one every 100 feet?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and basically he says that he had to grow and evolve. So his job is unique and fresh and just trying to change with the times.
Yeah.
Because the pandemic basically killed the haunt,
Yeah.
which is sad. But I'm sure it's not the first time we're going to hear that.
Yeah. But that was a very creative pivot, and honestly, I like that keeping the spirit alive thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, next up, we have a couple of movie reviews. This first one really interested me. It's Deadstream is the name of the movie. This is by Christy Puchko at Mashable. The idea here is basically an internet troll character goes into, in this case, an actually haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to watch him being tormented by poltergeists. And we get to go, wee, as they do horrible things to him.
Mm-hmm.
Who isn't down for that? It's like Schadenfreude the movie.
Yeah, basically.
It made its debut at South by Southwest. They called it a wickedly fun found footage horror movie. Dear God, could you make that any harder to say? That offers scorching commentary on internet fame. But basically, yeah, this is a disgraced internet troll, internet personality. I mean, think like, your Logan Paul or whatever. Some guy you just want to see get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Like, who's the poster child of our punchable faces right now?
Yeah, and basically to keep his sponsors happy, he has promised to run towards danger purposefully to
Idiot.
provoke any grisly ghost he can.
And he does. And he pays for it, it sounds like. I don't know too many details, but this review makes it sound very fun, and I'm actually very curious to see it.
All right, the second review is Night's End. This is by Jennifer Reeder, and it's a haunted house.
That's by the movie's by Jennifer Reeder, sorry.
Yeah, it's by director Jennifer Reeder. A haunted house quarantine horror is devilish fun. That's the title for the article by Jude Dry.
Yes.
And I forgot to put in the
I don't know the URL because you didn't put the link in.
sorry. I will find that.
It's been a chaotic notes week, y'all. We'll make sure the full link is in the show notes.
Yeah,
I apologize. Please go there to click the full link.
Yeah, but basically while the director and writer was in isolation the past 2 years, they decided to make a horror movie based on pandemic life. And it sounds like whenever this person is on video chat with people, things start happening in the background. And then it becomes a goal to get on to a popular like video thing.
Yeah, like get a YouTube thing or something going, a
exactly.
live stream or something like that. Yeah, I'm a little bit less clear on this one, and a little bit less interested in this one personally, but I do like the idea of exploiting what kind of became our weird new normal
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and what for many is the new normal even moving forward as we do more work from home. Zoom meetings and so forth are becoming part of life, and integrating that into a horror movie. And I think there's a lot of potential for doing that into haunted attractions too.
Mm-hmm.
As weird as that sounds, like how do you take people and do things that from like Zoom life in a haunted attraction? I don't know immediately, but I'm sure you all can figure it out. Like, I'm very confident there are those in this industry that are going, okay, wait a minute, you could do like this stroking the goatee, figuring out, y'all do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think this could be an easy way to really connect and modernize the themes of the haunt. I really do.
Yeah. Well, and we can watch, this movie and maybe get some inspiration.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I could see standing in line and seeing a room, like, go crazy with special effects, things moving and stuff, and then you get into the room in the haunt and you don't know. Something different happens.
Yeah.
Not what you saw outside.
Well, I remember like going to Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum way back in the day. Like the first room, there'd be like a funhouse mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And of course everyone walks up to them, make silly faces and puppets around and stuff. And you go through the whole museum, you get ready to exit it right by it. And then you see it was a one-way mirror and those people in the exit are watching you.
Yeah.
You could do something like that with a video chat.
Yeah.
You really could. So that's one possibility I was thinking of. I love that. Because even though I wasn't that embarrassed, I'm like, oh, that's fucking good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I made an ass of myself in the mirror. I just wasn't embarrassed about it. I make an ass of myself on a podcast 332 times.
Yeah.
So I'm not that ashamed. But no, interesting. All right, and finally, exiting on a high note. Monsterama Arcade opens May 1st with 50 vintage games pizzeria. This is in Des Moines, Iowa, and the article's by Ellie Wignall at Des Moines Register. Basically, the people behind the Slaughterhouse Haunted Attraction are opening up a vintage arcade. It'll include 50 arcade games spread across 1,700 square feet, so not exactly small.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So Ian Miller from Slaughterhouse has helped the owners decorate this arcade with giant props.
Sorry,
from
I
the
misread
haunted
that.
house.
Thank you for fixing that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, these are local lifelong friends. And it just sounds awesome. And if you look at the pictures, you can tell that a haunted house operator put in some of the props, like the giant hand. It's like a 50-foot hand suspended from the ceiling. And
yeah. There will be no tickets or required for the machines.
Mm-hmm.
It's $15 and all you can play, which is the best way to have an
I
arcade.
freaking love that.
Well, that's what Sea Cave here does.
Yeah, we still have to get over there.
Yeah, we do. We really do. We should make a point of that sometime soon.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, like teenage me remembers going to the Frankie's Fun Park in Columbia, spending $20 in the arcade, playing God knows how much laser tag, and blowing all the money he earned that week working at the grocery store, living his best life at a fun park.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 42 now. I'm approaching 42, I should say. I just want a little bit of that back.
Yeah.
Just for a minute. Even if it's just for a moment. I want to play some Street Fighter 2, some Mortal Kombat 2, and get my ass kicked at him because I'm fucking shit at fighting games. I want to do that.
I just push all the buttons.
You know what? And you'll probably kick my ass, too. It's the part that pisses me off.
That's the part that always, aggravated my brother.
Because I'm coming in with like strategies and moves, and you're like,
like you've remembered the codes and things for certain moves.
Dude, okay, Sub-Zero's fatality in Mortal Kombat 1 is ingrained in my psyche. It may literally be the last thought I have before I pass away when I'm an old man. Because it's forward, down, forward, high punch. I will never forget that. Rip that spine, motherfucker! Oh, yeah. I'm going to remember that until I die. I guarantee you. And I will always remember the blood code for Genesis Mortal Kombat ABACABB. I will remember this until I die. Because this is just the best life in some ways. I'm not saying I'm nostalgic for that era and that I want to bring it back.
No.
I just want to reconnect with it for a minute. I don't want other people to have to go through it. Because other people, younger people today got better shit. They don't need my shit. They got better shit.
Yeah.
Right? They got much better shit. They got fucking virtual reality and shit. What the fuck am I going to offer them? I mean, Mortal Kombat was a game which was basically 3 people dressing up in different Halloween costumes and mocapping each other and trying to make a fighting game out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it, there's only 3 models in the game. Sub-Zero and Scorpion weren't even different costumes. But seriously, it's kids today got virtual reality and shit. They don't need our shit. I just want to reconnect with it. And I want them, maybe the young people can experience it and appreciate what the fuck they got. That'd be nice too. Anyways, that's all this week. I'm going to get off that rant train. Because my God, it's been a week. And I'm so glad the week is now. This is how we end our weeks, isn't it? So I'm very happy our week is over.
Yes.
Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for the past 50 minutes or so. We greatly appreciate it. Please, please, please do take a minute. Give us a like, subscribe, shares, all the good stuff. All the social media stuff I'm supposed to request for you. HauntWeekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook. YouTube.com/HauntWeekly is the YouTube channel. A great place to subscribe and get every episode as it goes live, but also access every previous one. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, wherever. I don't handle distribution. Someone else takes care of it and makes sure we're everywhere. And that's the way it should be, folks. Well, until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week with, I don't know what. I'm as curious as you are what the topic next week will be, but we will see you all then.